Matt with Let's Talk Music. I'm here with Phil of Taproot. How you doing this evening, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing great. Really excited to talk to you guys because I remember your first album when Poem came out. I freaking loved that song. I actually drove the girl that I was dating at the time nuts with it. She's like, "Oh my god, they just keep saying break, break," and I'm like, "You got to get listen to it, get the point of the song."
Right, right.
You know,
Were you able to convert her?
yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
It only took me wearing the song out, but you know.
Right.
So I mean, a lot's gone on since then. Speaking of which, you guys are getting ready to release your seventh studio album, SCSSRS. What does that stand
Yeah.
for?
Scissors. They're just scissors. I don't know if it stands. So SSR is our singer's initials, Stephen Steele Richards.
Okay.
And then he came up with the idea of calling something like he is kind of his when he was going to go independent for a minute, just do his own thing. When Taproot took his hiatus, he was going to release the album as its own thing, and he was calling it his band Scissors.
Okay.
Um, and so then when I told him, hey, let's we built this whole thing together as Taproot. There's no reason for you to try to go indie. I mean, you're a major part of this band and the songwriting. When there's no reason for you to do this by yourself.
Right.
So bring out what you built on. Put it out with what we built on, and then it snowballed into all this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's saying that that's your first album release since 2012.
Yeah,
That was the episode. Was that album?
yeah, yeah.
So
Been a long time.
is that when the hiatus took place, or
Yep. Yep. We've done like I think four shows since then. Just sporadically here and there. Last show was about 2017, I think.
Mhm.
And that he's been kind of working on this record that whole time since we stopped. Well, technically 2013, 14 is when we took our official hiatus, and then again played those few shows. But he was working on this album that whole time,
Okay.
and this is the first Taproot record that is all Steve.
Oh, okay.
So a
So
little interesting that way.
right now you're the bass player. You're
Correct.
the original bass player.
Correct.
So you're one of the OGs of the band.
Yes. And we're bringing back our OG drummer as well.
I did see that in the
Yeah.
press release. That's for a select few of shows, though, right?
It's turning out to be a lot more than a select few. Yeah.
Okay.
As I mean, because at the beginning it was only a select few shows anyway, right? And then it was kind of half and half him and Dave. Dave is our most recent drummer who now plays for Sponge, and
Mm.
he's going to be mostly busy with Sponge anyway. So it looks like, so it kind of works out this way anyway. And then Jared is going to be on the majority of these shows coming up anyway. So yeah, it's sort of like, yeah, bringing the old band back together mostly. Three
Well,
quarters,
that's
three
awesome.
quarters. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to look at the press release here. It is you are getting ready to play the Machine Shop.
Yep. One of many. Yeah. Yeah. Machine Shop, originally, again, this thing's taken on a whole bigger life. So just a quick little story. I originally wanted to do one show, which was Blue Ridge Rock Festival. They'd asked us to play. It's one of those big festivals, all
Yeah.
these bands on it. So I was like, cool, sure, why not? Do again a one off like we've done before and one and done. I'm like, after September, let's see where we're at. And then we ended deciding to release the record this year. And then I said, hey, let's do an album release party at the Machine Shop. That turned into three shows because we sold out the first two shows within like, a total time of an hour between the two shows, which was crazy. Like each took about half an hour to sell out.
Nice.
And then from there is like, okay, well, there's obviously a bigger interest than I expected out of this. So we booked more shows and more shows. And what was going to be, like I said, just a 4, 5, 6 shows. I think we're at maybe 15, 16, 17, something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, we're kind of trying to, we're still trying to just, it's what I'm calling weekend warrior type stuff. I've got a job. Our drummer's got a, we all got jobs, right?
Right.
And we can't just take off and tour for a couple months. So weekend warriors just shoot off to little regions that we can try to get to our fans and let our fans get to us. And possibly in the new year we're looking to expand farther than we're doing. Mainly Midwest. We haven't done this in a while. We don't even have a vehicle yet, and we don't know how we're going to get to these shows we've booked. So a lot to figure out, but we're talking about trying to hit Florida, Texas, California, all that stuff next year because people after being gone for so long, apparently they are eager for more Taproot.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a pretty good feeling that you took that long of a break, and now you're getting a huge response to just being out there again. You haven't even released the album yet, and
Yeah.
people were lining up at the machine shop, which I've wanted to go there for some time. I've never been there. I heard it's a killer venue.
Oh yeah, yeah, one of the best.
Yeah, and I mean it just
Well, you guys have a cool club in Columbus. The one we're going to be playing, the King of Clubs. Have
yeah,
you been
yeah,
there?
yeah. Oh, I love that place.
Yeah, yeah. That's in. What's that?
When are you guys playing there?
Oh, we're playing there October. Man, I had all these dates in my head a little while ago. Now they're blanking on me. I want to say October 21st or 20th. I keep getting whatever that Friday is.
Okay.
October 20th, 21st. We're playing King of Clubs, and then we're playing Cleveland right after that, Lakewood.
Okay. Yeah, shit, man. I'll have to get with Shauna and set up a live one for that
Yeah,
because
man.
that's a fun place. I love it there. I'm actually going there. I want to say May 9th, I think it is, to interview Adelita's Way,
Oh
Otherwise,
yeah, yeah.
in Favor.
Yeah, I was actually I think it's May 6th, if I remember right, because I was
May
going to try
6th,
to go
yeah.
to that show. Yeah, I was going to try to go to that, but then I ended up having a family engagement that same weekend up in Michigan. Man, I'm good friends with those otherwise guys, and I was looking forward to going there. The owner of that place, Cue Ball.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So he's from X Factor One.
right.
They've toured with us, so I was looking forward to seeing him. Yeah, the whole thing. I was really excited for that show, and now I won't be there, but I'll see him at our show, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah, it would have been cool. Yeah, that would be a good show to go to, man.
Yeah,
If you see the otherwise guys, tell them Taproot says hi.
I will do that. Yeah, I did a short one with Adrian when he was there with Saliva, and he's a character.
Yeah,
He
dude.
really cool guy, and I mean
Yeah,
his stage presence is something else. I mean, jumped over, how they got the gate in the front to separate the stage, jumped over that, come out, was singing with some little girl that was there for her first concert, and
yeah, dude.
yeah, he
Yeah,
put on a show.
yeah, and good people, man. Just he's him and his brother, man. Just good people. We've known them for gosh, 15 to 20 years.
Yeah. So are you gonna release any of the new music before the album, or are you gonna wait till after?
Yep, we actually released on April 1st. We released our first not quite single. It's just like our first song, I guess you would call it. Oh, I'm blanking on names. Steve's gonna kill me. Oh, what's it called? Yeah, I'm totally. It'll come to me in a second. Um, I'm thinking of all the other names except for that one. So, but yeah, so we released our first song on April 1st. You can see it on. Just go to our Facebook or Twitter, or well, maybe not Twitter. We don't use Twitter very much. Instagram, all of
Right.
our stuff, and then we're gonna release another one, probably two more before the album comes out.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be the way to do it anymore.
Yeah,
And a lot of the bands that I talk to, they're, either releasing singles after the album or before the album, and
VIP. That's what it's called. VIP.
VIP. I'll have to
Yeah,
check that
yeah,
out.
yeah. It's a cool song. Man. The reaction's been great. Whenever you release new music, it's like what are our fans going to think? It's like different but the same kind of stuff, and so it's like what are our fans actually going to think of it? And the reaction's been fantastic so far. So
Well, and I mean that again, that's just I mean it kind of shows what kind of fan base you have,
yeah,
the type of band you guys are. I mean, taking that long of a break and then coming back out, after, post COVID and everything, and people were like, hell yeah, So
yeah. And I think that's a big part of it too. Is COVID made people realize that music can go away. You know what I mean? Live music is
hmm
something we need, something we want, something that is part of us. Especially I've been going to concerts forever. All of our fans, we're all concert goers, and losing that for a little while kind of gave us some perspective, I think, of appreciating concerts again.
yeah.
You know, and so our break was helpful for people just going like, "Hey, we can also lose Taproot. Like Taproot's not going to be doing all these shows all the time."
Right.
So yeah, it's been cool, man. It's our fans are great, and I think honestly a lot of them grown up because I don't see nearly as much hate as it used to be. Like we used to get anytime we released anything, said anything, there's probably like about half and half of like people that love it and people that like, oh, I want what you guys were like before, or why isn't it this or why isn't it that? You know what I mean?
Right.
And this time everything's just been all love, man. It's been great.
Right. And I mean, music evolves. So it's something that like I've even had issues with. I listen to like one of my bands from back in the day and favorites of all time, Metallica,
Oh
and
yeah,
I go from, Master of Puppets and Justice for All, the Black Album. I was like, okay, it's
yeah,
different, but I like it. And then everything after that kind of was different. And I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm feeling about this. But, it's bound to happen.
yeah. I'm in the same boat, exact same place. I think we're about the same age probably. So yeah, that same thing with after Justice is just like cool, but like what I always respected, even the entire time with Metallica, is they're not just rehashing the same stuff.
Right.
They're not just doing the same. They're always pushing the envelope, trying new things. Even if I don't like it, good for them for doing something different. And trying, just still being relevant even after all these years.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's, I think the way it has to be with everybody, I
Yeah,
mean, you can't do the same thing over and over again. And I mean, it has worked for
some can, some
right.
can.
I mean, like Megadeth, I mean,
Yeah,
they've always held on to the same kind of sound and everything, but I mean, it's, it's just the way it is. I mean, the industry changes, it's changed from, when you guys first came out, you was putting out CDs. Now everything's digital,
yeah,
and
and
it,
vinyl.
right.
Vinyl's big now, which is
Oh
weird to
yeah,
me.
I just went and I just bought a Victrola record player that I
Oh
fell
yeah,
absolute love with. So
nice. Yeah.
and
Also, this year we have on Record Store Day coming up here. What, April 20th? I think
mhm.
we have Welcome, our second album on record on limited release, something like that. Like five, they made like 500 or something.
Okay.
So yeah, little things like that, like this kind of happens this year. So
Now that's one thing for sure. Come to the show in October, I'll definitely purchase an album. I've been doing it every show that I've been to. I got one from Saliva. They all signed it, which now Wayne just passed away, and freaking that's
yeah,
cool
right.
signature. New Monarch, a band out of Akron. The guitar player from them is from Red Sun Rising.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, I remember those guys. Yeah,
yeah, so I mean, it's just every live one that I go to, I try to, at least contribute to the band's merch fund, you know what I mean?
yeah, right. Yeah, we
So
appreciate that.
because I mean that's the biggest way, that in live shows that you guys are making money these days.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big deal. So yeah, you gotta support your. It's funny. I always, don't necessarily give people crap for it, but at the same time, like people are like, oh, I don't know if I want to buy that, but you just spent, $10 on a beer or two beers or whatever it is, like at the
Right,
club, and you won't spend $10 on a CD that you can literally listen to forever. You know what I
right.
mean? It'll keep giving you, something good for a long, long time. And music needs to be prioritized. Now people need to understand that. Like again, like I was saying, like it's something we need, it's something we like, and it's worth more than a coffee. It's worth more than,
Yeah.
a couple beers or something, and people don't think of it that way. They're just like, oh, I don't feel like, because we get a lot of it free now, you know?
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just like you'll spend 5-10 bucks on a couple copies without thinking about it, you know, and then but won't buy a CD of your favorite band.
Right. Yeah, and I
So
mean that's very true. I mean it does it that CD will last forever, and that beer you're gonna piss out 15 minutes later.
yeah. And it's
So
their right to choose whatever they want to do, but at the same time, if you think about it, it just doesn't really make sense.
right.
I've been guilty of the same thing. I'm not saying I'm above that. I've done the same nonsense, but at the same time, as I'm getting older and looking at things with new perspective. I'm like, yeah, we should be supporting the things we like. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, that like you said with the COVID, situation is people didn't know what was going to happen with the entertainment industry. Period. Not
Yeah,
just music, but acting and stand up comedy shows and everything that we take for granted. And I remember here in Columbus that the 99.7 The Blitz announced that they was getting ready to do the first live show. I forget who it was, but it was at the Newport. And, they were like, please, everybody needs this. The bands need it. The fans need it. Just adhere to the rules. Wear your mask. I know it's going to be hot and uncomfortable, but wear your mask, show your vaccination card. And I think that's probably the first time I've ever seen people follow something like that to the letter. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it worked out great. And I mean, it wasn't long after that that more and more shows were popping up.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, it was a scary time for many reasons, man. But I mean, definitely when I was like, you know, it was almost like 911, when 9/11 happened, you know, no planes in the sky. And you're like,
Yeah.
hell, and then COVID is there's no music. And like I've talked with a lot of bands, is I feel like, the positive part for musicians in that time period was that you guys got to sit and relax and create better quality music and spend more time on your writing process, doing your music and everything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that would be for true for other band. We were already sitting on our butts, so
But I mean, you really can. I mean, if you listen
yeah.
to music pre-COVID and then listen to it post-COVID, there is a difference.
Yeah.
And I mean, people didn't have the labels or whoever pushing them like, hey man, we need this stuff out.
Yeah. Right.
Speaking of which, you guys started out, you were signed to Atlantic Records. Are you currently signed with a label now?
Yep. Yeah. So our manager Tom, again, when this all started, me and Tom go way back. Tom Hazart. I've known him pretty much the entire career of the band. He's been in the music industry forever. He's done lots of things within the industry. He's been, part with labels, part of street teams, part of bands. So when me and him started talking, he'd actually quit the music industry as I kind of had, and he was working for this merch company called Volatile that does skateboards. And so he hit me up and said, "Hey, is Taproot interested in doing some skateboards?"
Oh
I was like,
wow.
"Yeah, that sounds cool." Yeah. So we did some skateboards, and just has our our first three albums, the big the Atlantic albums on the cover, or rather the covers on the skateboard.
Hmm.
And then from there, he's like, "Well, we also do merch. Are you guys interested in doing some merch?" And I was like, "Well, what do I have to do?" He's like, "Nothing. We'll do it all." I'm like, "Cool, perfect." I don't want to have to do anything because I'm busy. I got kids and everything. So
Right.
we did merch, and then we started talking about Steve's record, and then that's when we decided to do the album. And so from there, Tom's like, "Well, I used to do, I still know everybody in the industry. I can do it. I can be your label. I can do a distribution deal, and I'll give you a better, cut than any other label will give you." And I was like, "Talk to Steve. It's his album, but I'm sure we can talk him into it." And yeah, it just went from there. So yeah, THC is the label. So we have a label push. We have distribution. It'll be everywhere, and he's been a huge instrumental part in us kind of coming out swinging like we have,
Right.
because if it wasn't for him, yeah, like I said, we probably would have had a couple shows. But he very much believed in what we were and what we could be. Knew what we were, knew what we could be. And I was, after being gone so long, I was like, I didn't know. I wasn't connected to the music industry anymore. I was like, I don't know. We'll see, man. And he kept telling me, dude, it's going to sell out. These first shows are going to sell out so fast. I'm like, I don't know, maybe in a day or two, because it's a machine shop. It's our hometown show. But when that first show sold out in 30 minutes, I was like blown away.
Yeah.
And then when the second show sold out in 30 minutes, it actually took 35 minutes. I was a little disappointed for a minute. I'm like, is it not going to sell out the same? And then it did. And I was like, no way. So it's one of these things that just like, okay, I guess it is a little different than what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So
How many
I'm
people?
grateful, man. Was that?
How many people does that venue hold?
I want to say 550. So it's not a huge place, but it's we played it before, and we've sold out 2 nights there before, and it's a cool club. We have people coming from all over. I think a lot of the Flint people couldn't get in because we have fans coming from all over the place, and that was the first show we announced. But just to do 3 shows right in that little vicinity, that the third one's almost sold out now, and then touching up all these other shows, a bunch of them are really close to selling out, and we're like what 6 months away still. So I think as it gets closer, as people kind of solidify their plans, I think a lot of these are going to sell out, and it's gonna be fun, man. I didn't want to do anything that wasn't gonna be fun, and seeing that reaction from our fans just kind of really reinvigorated me into wanting to do something like this.
Right. Now you mentioned the Blue Ridge Music Festival. How did you get on that? Did they contact you or did your manager do that?
Yep. So we have a booking agent still, Alex. He's with TKO, and so Alex brings me up random offers throughout the years, and I'm like, no, 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 And so this one, this one finally came at the right time, and I was like, all right, why not? Let's try it. It was at the time almost a year away, so I'm like, we could probably get together because we didn't even have a guitarist at the time,
Hmm.
right? So because our original guitarist and us, we don't all get along anymore. So it was like, what are we gonna do? And so it was like line up a guitarist. Our friend Taylor, who was pretty much a shoe in anyway. I knew who I was gonna ask as soon as I was gonna do something like this. But and he's said yes. And so yeah, just the one show, and I was like, yeah, September. That's a good amount of time to get this all figured out. And yeah, that one show turned into all these shows and an album, and we got T-shirts and we got all sorts of stuff going on now. It's crazy.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it really is just,
I mean,
like
just for some perspective, dude, I have been working a regular job since 2015. Other than those 3 or 4 Taproot shows, I'm married, I have kids, I have a house. I'm living, just a normal life now.
right,
And occasionally somebody brings up the band and that's about it. What I mean? There's no rock stardom going on over here. I've changed diapers, I've done, I've got cats. What I mean? I'm changing, I do the kitty litter every morning. I mean? I do the whole thing, taking kids to school.
right,
So being able to do this at the same time, not having to give up my family life. Always knew if I had kids, I don't want to tour.
right.
I don't want to be leaving them if I can help it. That's why I also thought I would never get married because I thought I'd be touring forever before. But um, so being able to do both of these is just so like uh, bigger than I could have ever dreamed of. Right? I never thought I'd be able to do both.
Yeah.
So it's doing it this way. Just seems like it's going to work. So
Well, man, I mean, it seems like, you're definitely happy with your situation, and that's what life's all about.
yeah,
I mean, you're kind of living the best of both worlds. You still get to do your musicianship, and you still get to do your family life, and
yeah, trying to, man. I really hope this works out the way we think it will. It looks like it is. At least for a while, man. I don't know
yeah.
how long it's going to last, but if we can just keep doing these shows here and there, and people are still interested in what we do, I'm down.
Well, again, I mean, it's obviously you have a very strong fan base,
Yeah.
and that's huge. It's how kind of how we was talking about Metallica earlier. I know that quite a few people got angry with them and didn't want to listen to them anymore. And I'm like, you know, I kind of get where you're coming from, but it's Metallica. I'm not going to stop listening to them because they put out some music that I didn't care too much for.
Right.
Ever since I've really started doing this, because I was primarily just a rock dude. I was like, man, I don't want to talk to no, country artists, rappers, nothing. And you can't be like that. You got to have an open mind. And,
Oh yeah.
I started out working with like 3 or 4 publicists, and now I've probably got about 50 or 60 emails a day from all over the world. And it's been great. And, I get to experience all kinds of new music. And I'm actually looking at doing, I think it's May 20th, a band is playing, and it's their first North American tour. They're from Italy. They're playing
Oh
in
wow.
Pittsburgh, and my wife and I are going to go to it. And I'm going to do a live interview. Uh,
Nice.
Female fronted, kind of I wouldn't say prog rock, but maybe like a kind of, I guess maybe prog rock. It's they're very instrumental, and
Right.
the chick has like an operatic voice. I mean, it's
What are
amazing.
they called?
I think it's like Elaine. I want to say, let me, because I've always had a problem with figuring out what the way it's spelled. Let me see. It is Eleine.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Oh.
Yeah.
Your guess is as good as mine.
But yeah, I mean, they're amazing. And I was like, shit,
Yeah.
and it just one of the guys that I work with started Noble Demon Records over in Germany, and he's from Nuclear Blast Records. I mean, it's just really cool to be able to talk to musicians and be a part of the business. What and what part I am. I'm still there's one nut that I'm really trying to crack, and that's Amy from Adam Splitter PR. I mean, that chick has everybody that's anybody.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, I've every time I email her, they're not available. I'm like, damn it. But
Just takes that right person one
yeah,
time, you know what I mean? And then you're connected and then you're good.
and it's I don't mind. I really enjoy talking to um independent bands, or bands that were from back in the day or whatever, because they're more down to earth. They're not so high on themselves that it's better to sit here and you're looking at your screen and stuff. You're not kind of like just wandering around. You know what I mean? And it just shows that even though I might sound like a blubbering idiot to you, you still acknowledge me. But you know what I mean? It's because I have, and it stands very true. If you don't want to hate your heroes, don't meet them. So
Right. No, I've definitely ran into that a few times. I'm sure we all have.
yeah, and I mean, I get it, man. I mean, you're human beings. It's a job. You have bad days. Shit goes wrong in your life and everything, and you know,
It's funny you say that because I have a pretty good reputation. Like I'm generally one of the nicer guys you'll meet. I talk to our fans. I stay afterwards. I do all that stuff. But there's a guy that commented on our Blabbermouth interview, or not interview. When we did the press release, they did a little thing about it,
hmm
and some guy posted on there and is like, "Yeah, man, Phil at Ozfest was such a douchebag, complete like whatever, like total whatever, something like that." And I was like, so I commented, of course. I just said, hey, sorry for whatever I did. I'm generally, ask around. I'm generally a good dude. I might have been having a bad day and maybe we just don't get along. I don't know, but good luck to you kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I might have been having a bad day and that doesn't happen very often, but maybe I was, I don't know.
yeah, I
So you
mean,
never know. And that guy, and this is what, 23 years later, that guy still tells people that story of what a douchebag I am. So but it's I mean, and that's why also part of why I try to be great to people because I've been in that situation. I've met the guy that was probably having a bad day
mhm,
and came off like an a-hole. And next thing you know, I'm telling that story about, yeah, that guy, he's a real jerk. When he probably, maybe isn't,
right,
So it's like I try to not to give that impression to people. I don't want to be even a bad day. It's like they don't care. We've always said that. Our band, I think we learned that from Metallica, speaking of is that idea like the fans have been waiting months for them to come play there, and for us to come play some of our shows.
hmm
So to come there and just because something happened, even if you're fighting with your girlfriend or wife or whatever, to put on a bad show and be a prick, it's like they don't care about that. Let it go for those moments where you're meeting your fans. You don't need to carry that around with you.
right.
You know what I mean? Deal with it later. But when it's time to meet your fans and talk to people, you don't need to have that on your back. I mean, obviously, some pretty tragic things can happen, but for the most part, a lot of the stuff's fairly petty, goes away. It's just temporary.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's what because my story comes with Mick Brown from Dokken. But at the time he was with Lynch Mob, and
Okay.
he was walking. That we seen him at the Newport. He was walking down High Street, and a buddy of mine that was with us was a drummer and was like huge fan. And he's like, "Hey man, can I get your autograph?" And he's like, "Man, I ain't got time for you," and walked off. And I was like, "Well, what a dickhead!" But I mean, it could have been that something was going bad, after the show,
Yeah.
something, So I mean, but I guess when you're young, you're like, you look at these people like they're larger than life,
Yeah.
and, and you forget that they are just regular human beings, with an extremely, well harnessed talent, and it's just. I don't know. I mean, I got one coming up here shortly with Frank Hannon from Tesla, which Tesla is one of my favorite bands of all
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah. I love Tesla.
And I was kind of like texting with the publicist like what kind of guy is he, and she's like, oh, he's a really fun guy. I'm like, okay, because I don't want to be like, oh man,
Yeah.
uh,
Right.
Right. And, and I mean, them guys have been around forever. So, but man, I really appreciate you talking with me. Definitely looking forward to the album release. Gonna have to check out VIP now that you mentioned it to me because I
Yep.
did not know. So that is what September 29th is when the album's being.
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
And
awesome.
then yeah, and check out our our Facebook, our Instagram, all those things for our tour dates. If you can call it a tour date, our shows at least, and album release, all the things that we have going on. We have a best of B sides is this thing we have as well coming out on vinyl and like it's like this 8 disc. It's a compilation of our 8 disc release we did of like just all the random things we've done over the years that didn't quite make the record or were demos or things like that. And so that's coming out. I want to say May 5th ish. I should know these things. Sorry, Tom. Again, check out our stuff, our all our pages for when all this stuff comes out. We have VIP experience packages for all the shows, which will be cool. Like we got a really nice package of things together for people to come and check out and meet us and shoot the shit, all that good stuff.
Hell yeah. And hopefully, when you guys come in October, I can set something up and we
Yeah.
can all just sit down and chat and get some pictures and everything else. And you know, uh I enjoy these Zoom interviews, man, but live ones are where it's at.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Especially
same thing with music. You can't see concerts. I mean, concerts, these live concerts they put on, YouTube or streaming and all that stuff. It's great. Great if you can't make it, but nothing beats that live, sweaty, crushing experience when you're in the crowd. I prefer watching from the crowd. Will do the side stage, but I prefer watching from the crowd. I'll do that if I have a way to go back and forth. I'll generally watch from the crowd and just not necessarily be crushed up front anymore. I'm old
right.
for that, but I'll be watching up front. That's where the energy is.
Oh yeah. I feel you on that one, man. You get last concerts that I went to that I really put in a lot of just jumping around and stuff, man, my feet hurt for days. I'm like, son of a, I hate
Yeah,
getting
but
old.
yeah, right. But that'll go away. But those memories will last forever, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, all right, brother. Well, I'm gonna let you get back to your family. Again, thank you for talking with me. I'll look, like I said, forward to the album release. I'll get this edited and up on YouTube, and I'll have Shauna send you a copy. And man,
Awesome.
you have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, man. You too.
All right.
All right. Bye.